Welcome to Tattooed Freaks in Business Suits, recorded live in our new office at the Personal Touch Career Services in Arvada, Colorado. I am your host, Donna Shannon. As a professional career coach, I help people navigate the hiring maze to get the jobs that they really love. So in addition to working with job seekers one-on-one, I do have a book available. You can find How to Get a Job Without Going Crazy on Amazon or, many of the fine retailers in your neighborhood, including my website. Anyways, my guest today is Samantha Schultz with Plan Your Perfect Vacation. And we're going to be diving into all your questions and things in flux about the travel industry and our new age of COVID. So I'll give her a chance to introduce herself in just a moment. If you're new to us, our show's purpose is to really explore and redefine the world of work, especially as Gen X millennials and those to come after seek positions of leadership that still allow them to be themselves. So every show we do a topic related to business or job searching. And of course, we're going to talk about tattoos. Our sponsor is the Personal Touch Career Services, Denver's top-rated career coaches. We focus on those practical tools for your job search, including resumes, LinkedIn profiles, job search coaching, and ongoing classes. So check out our ridiculously long website, which is personaltouchcareerservices.com. Once again, that's personaltouchcareerservices.com, or you can just Google it. So hi, Samantha. How are you today?
Hi, I'm very well. How are you doing?
Good, good. So your website is almost as long as mine.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a mouthful to say, planyourperfectvacation.com.
Yeah. So anyways, obviously you're a travel agent, and why don't you just tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Samantha Schultz. I'm the owner of Plan Your Perfect Vacation, which is a cruise planners franchise. My agency is all about working with clients that are either overwhelmed, exhausted, maybe they're frustrated with the travel planning process, and I am there to help alleviate their stress and save them time by using my travel expertise. I like to consider myself an expert in travel organization and planning based on traveling to, now I think I'm at 60 plus countries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so now I got to ask, which one was your favorite trip?
Oh gosh, so I get that question a lot, and I feel like every place is special in its own way. But I will tell you, I have a desire to spend a lot more time in Africa. I have a lot more exploring to do there, so that's my top right now.
Nice. So I noticed that you actually launched your business in 2016. So what made you decide to take that leap?
Yeah, so it's been about 4 years, and I've actually had 2 careers prior to this one. So I used to actually be a little embarrassed to admit that, but now I proudly share it just because, even if you're good at something, or maybe it's right during a certain period of your life, it doesn't mean it's meant to be your life's work, and we all evolve as people. So I definitely evolved throughout my career. I first started out of college as a high school business and marketing teacher. Did that for a number of years. And what's funny is I actually taught entrepreneurship, and I had never owned my own business. So obviously something I desired to do, but didn't actually do. Love teaching students. But after moving around the country, it got more and more difficult to stay certified in each state. So I hopped into the corporate world and did corporate learning and development for a number of years. But I excelled in this role, but I was unhappy, I was stressed, and I realized that being in an office was not a right fit for me. So I just decided that it was time for me to start my own business, take everything I was teaching students and actually put it into play. So everything I learned in the past has definitely helped with my business. But I decided it was something I needed to do that was a passion for me and be able to work for myself.
Right. So what in particular drew you to the travel industry?
Well, so I actually did not grow up traveling. My family, we actually didn't go anywhere internationally. We had a couple road trips here and there. So when I was in college, I decided I wanted to see the world and see what was outside of my bubble. So my first summer after my freshman year, I booked a 6-week trip to Europe by myself. and I was incredibly scared. I was nervous, never been obviously out of the country or away from home for that long. But after those 6 weeks, I was absolutely hooked to traveling, which I know a lot of people, they say once they go somewhere new, they're kind of hooked to seeing new places. And the next summer I spent 4 weeks abroad, and really ever since it's just been, where can I go next? What more can I learn and explore? But really beyond just that desire to travel, when many years later, I decided I wanted to take a trip to Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji. And those were 3 countries I felt like I just really didn't know anything about, didn't know what to do. So I actually reached out to a travel agent, and
Mm-hmm.
I found the experience working with her to be a little less than stellar. It lacked some attention to detail, some personalization, level of expertise wasn't quite what I wanted. And so I realized at that point that there was probably a need that people were looking for, that they wanted someone that was going to really get to know them and really have that level of expertise. And that helped me leave the corporate world.
Mm-hmm. Right. So one of the things that I always think about, especially when founding a business, no matter what, is to understand who your target market really is.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you initially define your target market, and what were like some of the, obviously if you're teaching marketing, you had some skills in this area to get out and reach to them, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, before even diving into who's my target market, not all agencies are created equal. We all don't market to the same people, just like a lot, most businesses. What I really wanted to specialize in my target market were people that were interested not only just in international travel, but clients that value their time, they seek expertise, and they're wanting to hire a professional to do the job. So really, when you think about travel, you can plan it yourself, just like anyone can do their own taxes, or you could cut your own hair, do a lot of different things, but you can always hire someone that's an expert, right?
Right.
So my target market, they're looking for these life enriching international experiences, things that they maybe don't know that exist, hard to Google or don't want to Google. Really, my target market is looking for something that goes beyond the old travel agency days of just booking a plane ticket and a hotel. Really, anyone can do that, but finding these things that match my clients, what they like to do, what their desires are, what they're wanting to get out of their trip, and then also having a very high level of service. So beyond the booking process all the way through travel, that's really the client that's seeking my services. So they're looking for just kind of the next step, beyond kind of that do-it-yourself kind of model.
Right. And that kind of dovetails into like the next thing I wanted to ask you too,
Mm-hmm.
is because, obviously there's so many people who just book their stuff online, or it's like, oh, I want to do an Alaska cruise. I saw it can get it real cheap if I go in October. I'm just going to do all this by myself. So what would be some real benefits of using a travel agent versus, you know, trying to do it all myself on the cheap, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely. It probably sounds a little cheesy, but I think the right travel professional, they can take a trip from ordinary to extraordinary. So again, I know that's cheesy, but really, when you think about all of the different factors that go into a trip, I think a lot of people don't realize until they start researching or they book something and they're actually on the trip and they realize, like, shoot, I didn't think about that. So really, what's different about someone just going online is the website's not getting to know a client, what they like, what their preferences are, to be able to recommend the right things that will appeal to them individually. So say, for example, in your cruise example, so going to Alaska in October, that's the end of the season. Most of the times it's terrible weather. Things are starting to shut down. It's not going to be whale watching season. You may not get the experience that you want. In
Mm-hmm.
addition, the cheapest cabin may have an obstructed view. It may be below, the dance floor of one of the lounges. It may be
Mm.
super noisy. So again, lots of different things that maybe to some people might not be a very big deal, but I'm factoring all of those things into, like, how do I make this experience based on what I've gone over with my client match exactly what they want. So, and you know what, and I think every client too, or every individual, they have different levels of needs. So Some people say like, hey, I know where to go. I know where I want to go. I know what I want to do. But I want someone to put all the pieces together. Some people
Mhm.
may say like, I want to go and what, in that example, I want to go and see Wales. Where's the best place in the world to go and do that? So they need those recommendations and the details and finishing touches to make sure it's the trip that they want. So that's where working with an agent, things can be exactly tailored to them rather than just like finding something and hoping it's the right thing.
Right. Right. Okay. So one of the things I definitely have to ask, because I know from speaking to a couple of different professionals in the travel industry, that when COVID hit, this is where the power of a travel agent really came through. Because, I heard stories of people getting stuck abroad. Uh, they couldn't get out of the countries for quarantine, or they're rushing to try to get into the last plane out. Did you have any of those situations that came up for your clients? Anything
Well,
that you can share, of course.
yeah, absolutely. Well, so I mean, I guess what's interesting is, so yeah, there was definitely a lot that hit the fan back in March, and really the reality is we're still working through a lot of things for clients. Thankfully, no one
Mm.
is still abroad. Everyone is back home. But, the types of situations where clients could have been stuck somewhere, it was really necessary for me to make some quick decisions for them. So a lot of people, like a lot of clients that, or I shouldn't say clients, a lot of people that were traveling at the time that maybe didn't have an agent to help them out and that did find themselves stranded, a lot of times is because they aren't aware of, again, those fine details and kind of decisions that we have experience with. So for example, people were in other countries. It was like, hey, need to get back to the US. And a lot of people were like, what's the cheapest way to get home? Or
Yeah.
even what's the least amount of connections, which normally I would always recommend.
Right.
But in the case of COVID, if that flight was connecting back through another country and then that country then put up restrictions, they then found themselves basically not able to fly again or having to book more flights, which led to additional costs. So, as an agent, we knew, or most agents should know that getting back to the US as quickly as possible, and even if you had 2 or 3 other connections from there, was a better risk to take, knowing that you were getting your feet planted back in the US than taking that cheaper flight through another country. So, again, those were some of the things that I was able to kind of help work my clients through there. I think that another thing too that really helped a lot of my clients with getting kind of back on track with trips, whether they were like supposed to leave the next day or they had just left, is we have partnerships with a lot of local teams and offices around the world. They, in destination, same time zone, speak the local language. And that really helped with negotiation, getting them the resources they need, getting them rebooked as fast as possible. So, all of us combined, we were really able to help everyone get home safely or get their trips, canceled or rebooked or whatever it was. So we didn't have anyone stranded abroad.
Hmm. Right. So, yeah, of course, we're all seeing changes into the travel industry, basically on what seems to be a daily basis now. So, and I know you can't speak for all the airlines or anything like that. So, are there like any insider tips that you would have to, either what to look for now or how the industry might adapt to our new COVID world,
Sure.
so to speak?
Um, so I would hope that a lot of individuals looking to travel would, if they have not used a travel professional previously, that they would consider using one now, just knowing how much more complicated it is and how much more complex it is to travel, but not just looking to work with someone that's in the travel industry, but working with one that's the right fit for them, the one that has travel experience and credentials to back up their expertise. So really, like anyone would maybe, call a couple contractors to work on their house, call a couple people that are, have travel agencies or travel agents, talk to them and see, where have they been, where do they send their clients, how do they work with clients? Because really anyone can call themselves a travel agent, anyone can enter this industry, but really making sure that the person you're working with has the expertise that's going to, match what you're looking for and also be able to match the support that you need. Because there are some people that are super well traveled and maybe they don't need as much support, but the reality is there's a lot of people that this is going to be a new type of way to travel for them, and they're going to want someone kind of to hold their hand but not really be there while they're gone. So, and I think too, even with that, because there are just so many regulations changing on a daily basis and just so many different things to think about, having someone in the industry that's, staying up to, up to date on everything, making sure that they're, going to industry conferences, and working with other, travel professionals, just making sure that they are professionally continuing to grow and stay educated is really important too.
Right. And that was going to be the next thing that I was going to ask, is that I'm sure that you're staying on top of industry updates, or is there like an association that you're connected with or anything? I don't know. So better ask.
There's a couple different, there's different industry organizations that I have credentials with. I'm also part of a host agency. So we have a whole network of agents that we all work together and we get information daily. Tourism boards I'm constantly working with, getting their updates on basically country by country basis. So it's a combined effort of getting information daily and basically processing all of it. And I think that's also the biggest thing too, when you talk about just agents or the industry adapting to all of these changes, even travelers are really going to have to start adapting as well. So, travel may not return the way it used to be. It doesn't mean that it's not a worthwhile experience. It's just with those changing regulations on a daily basis, what you book today could look completely different even 2 months from now. And we all just have to be okay with being flexible and being able to adapt.
Yeah. And I think some of it too is the realization that things are going to be different for longer than anticipated. Because it's like, I know a lot of people, and I kind of fell into the trap too, where it was like in April, May timeframe, I'm like, oh, in July, there's some magic person is going to flip the switch and the world's going to be normal again, and we can travel and we can do comedy shows and we can do all this other stuff. And guess what? No, the flip didn't get, no switch. No switch happened.
Exactly. There's no switch. Where is the switch, Donna?
I don't know. If I had the switch, man, I think I'd be a rich person.
Yes, exactly. I say that or a crystal ball. That's another thing too. Everyone wants to know, when is travel going to come back? And I'm like, only if I had my hands on that crystal ball.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like its own new form of denial, right?
Right.
The whole, oh, it'll be better in the future. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And then now we're like, even the schools, we're 2 weeks out of schools, and it's like, schools don't know what they're doing.
Yes, exactly.
We got 2 more weeks to figure that out.
Right. Hey, and who knows what will happen in those 2 weeks too. That's all. Every day is something new.
Yeah, I think I even heard there's some, I can't remember if it was some of the states or counties that are pushing for a full and complete and total shutdown again. So
Yep, absolutely. So
it's
anyone's guess at this point.
Yeah, it's like baseball started just last week, and this show is recorded, so we're speaking it here at the end of July, and they've already canceled. They only had one weekend of games, and they already canceled thanks to the frickin' Marlins from Florida. Of course, it was Florida.
I know.
Yeah, so for those of you who hadn't heard the news, 12 of the Marlins players and coaching staff tested positive for COVID, so they had to cancel their games on opening weekend.
And saying that's just another, you even look at sports just like travel. I mean, what is said one day, opened up, and within, a week or two completely changes. So we've all got to remain, adaptable and flexible. It's the name of the game right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, when the Olympics in Tokyo, when they called that last spring, and I'm like, it's not going to take like a whole year for them to recover on this. It's like, no, they're going to need the full year to plan.
They are, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you need to go to Tokyo in 2021, give Samantha a call.
Yes.
And she'll work on some contingency plans for that too.
Absolutely. Yes. Plan A, B, C, D, and E.
Yeah, probably all the way through Z at this point.
Yeah, right? Believe me, I have already rebooked some clients like 3 or 4 times because we keep moving it. And finally, I'm like, we need to just push to another year. Can we do that? Yeah. I mean, it's so true.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we've been planning a trip to Disney for almost 2 or 3 years, and then it was all like, oh, they're opening up Star Wars Land. And it's like, well, we're not going to go on 2019 when they opened because it was just,
Right.
ridiculous crowded. So we were going to go this year, and it's like, no, I'm not
Oh,
going anywhere near Florida.
yep, exactly. Right. Hopefully soon.
Yeah. So with one question, with your main business being like in a state of flux, have you found that you've been branching out into other business arenas just to, you know, make sure you've got enough things going on?
So as I mentioned, I'm still, so I had, I don't know actually the number, but basically January, February, March. So normally in travel world for agents, January through May is called wave season.
Mm.
And wave season is always the craziest time. It's almost like basically tax season, but for travel agents. And it is
Really?
bananas with bookings because it's everyone, booking for spring, last minute spring break. Then you've got summer, and then holidays are also a crazy time to travel too. So that's always the busiest time of year. And then, I mean, it stays pretty steady the rest of the time, but that's usually when it's crazy. So January, February, March were insanely great for my business. And so I still am working with clients from all of those bookings to either rebooks, or again, there, like I said, there's some that we're still working through from March. Everything from, refunds to if they had to use, their travel insurance, getting those claims filed, different things like that. So that's definitely still keeping me busy. I know a lot of people may be surprised. I'm still getting inquiries. Some people are still comfortable with the idea of traveling in the future, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to start thinking about it now. But again, I think they were ones that said, hey, I'll do this on my own previously. And now they're like, there's no way I'm going to do this on my own. So we're already starting to work on 2021, 2022. And obviously, like you said, with contingency plans and with expectations that, all right, we plan this out now. This is what it'll look like if we have to move. But as far as other, it's types of things, businesses, I want to stay true to my clients. I know travel will come back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to stay patient because this is something that I've always wanted to be in for the long haul. So I'm still staying dedicated, but I mean, I've been working on my business too. I've been recording videos. I've been doing podcasts. I'm taking, trainings on a daily basis just to keep up on my education. Still, I'm attending virtual conferences since most, pretty much everything in person has been canceled. So just again, keeping up my level of expertise. And then that way, when travel does come back, it's just going to be, I don't want to say business as usual, but I'll just be able to pick right back up where I left off.
Mm-hmm. Well, good, good. I'm glad you're
Yeah,
still staying engaged. That's real important too.
definitely. Absolutely.
And that's part of staying positive as well, because it'd be real easy to slide back into things and rest on our laurels and go, well, yeah, I'll be honest, we're pretty busy, obviously with as many people that are out of work. But in March and April, it was very, very slow for us because, things were in a state of flux and people weren't feeling comfortable about spending money on resumes or things like that. I honestly worked harder then to make sure we were staying on top of
Mm-hmm.
everything and all the things of working on my business to make us ready. And then in May and June and July, we've actually seen a huge uptick on people who are wanting to get back to work and want to be ahead of the crowd before, everybody else, really.
Right, right. No, and I think that's, the biggest thing. I really looked at it and I thought, all right, even though I was, super busy just working through the madness of all of the cancellations, but I thought, you know what, I can't let anything get behind. You need to think about other things that January, February, March, I talk about how busy it was then too. I had wanted to redesign my website and do this and do that. And I really thought I've still got to keep up with all this. It's still business as usual. I've still kept my same business hours, get up every day. I'm at my desk. And I think, that's just really important with, continuity, and that's why my clients have always continued to come back. It's not a side hobby. It's my full-time job. And I do take it very seriously.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way I feel about, all
Yeah,
business, right? People will take you as seriously as you take yourself.
absolutely.
But don't take yourself too
Too
seriously.
seriously.
The big question is, did you wear pants? I don't know what it's been in the COVID thing. Why is
I know.
everybody wearing no pants? It's like,
Nope.
put on your freaking
Pants.
pants.
I mean, even if they're
Please.
sweatpants, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Sweatpants is better than no pants,
Yes.
okay? Yeah. All right. So, anyways, now we get to come to one of my favorite parts of the show where we get to talk about the tattoo of the day. So,
Oh,
Samantha,
yes.
do you have any tattoos?
So funny. Well, first of all, this was like I was most nervous about this question, and not because I have anything to hide. It's actually I don't have any tattoos, and I thought, well, don't I sound super boring? Like, what's interesting with tattoos is I don't have anything against them, and honestly, I'm actually really fascinated by most of them because I think they're very beautiful works of art. And for the artists that create them, I mean, what a talent to have. Like that, I could only wish to have a fraction of that ability to be able to do that. But I really have never, I've never settled on anything. I've been wanting to get tattooed, and it's not, I don't know, I guess just throughout the years, it's something I haven't really thought about. But I will tell you, I've been in Colorado now for a year,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure why. Whether it's I just notice it more here or more people that live here have tattoos, but I feel like everyone has, not just one, but many. And
Mhm.
I'm like the only one that doesn't have one. Sometimes I feel like that.
Colorado
But
actually is a pretty heavily inked state.
okay,
So,
that definitely backs up my thinking. But I think what I love though about, and why when we talked about doing this podcast, why I was so intrigued to be on it is I think that it's great that you highlight, like the name, it highlights the fact that individuals, people that have tattoos, it doesn't matter whether you do or you don't, you still can be a professional. And I know that a lot of older generations, there's been a stigma, like if you have tattoos, you're not a professional. And that I think there's couldn't be anything that's farther from the truth from that. Because I know in my careers, there's been tons of incredible people that have tattoos, and they're actually super fun and awesome. And what a way to express yourself. I guess I need some people to send me some inspiration. Maybe that's all it is.
yeah, yeah. Say you could get, I know you could get like a global map on your back, and then every time you visit a country, you put like a new pin in it.
Or fill it in.
Yeah, yeah, make it another color or a big check mark on it.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that would
So,
be whoever the artist would be. They would know that they would have like be coming in on the regular, or at least
yeah,
once COVID passes,
right.
be coming in. But and now, have you ever had any other guests that don't? Does everyone
Yes.
have a tattoo?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then I'm not alone. Look at
No, you're
that.
not alone. You're not alone at all. And some of them are not surprising, like Cami Welch, who's, the director of the Chamber of Commerce, does not have any. But then again, I'm surprised. I'll have like a guest on in some of the luxury service markets that we do, and I'm always going to go, they don't have tattoos. And it's like, no, they got 4 or 5. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Absolutely. Now, do you ever share yours?
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody's heard about mine.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yes, and I am getting new tattoos done for COVID and everything. So,
Is that something will you share once it's done, or is it big
I'll
reveal?
I'll share it when I'm done. But I finally figured out which one I'm going to do for my COVID tattoo after looking through several of them. This sounds so weird, but I really just have always liked the aesthetic of the biohazard symbol.
Okay.
I know it's weird. I told you it was weird. So I found one where the tattoo looks like it's just kind of burned or torn into the flesh. I told you this is going to be awful. You're going to be, oh, Donna. And I was like, I really like that idea. And on my lower left calf, I've actually got like a face hugger from Alien on there. It's my joke tattoo because he's holding up a sign that says free hugs. Yeah, I don't know how much you know about aliens, but
which I feel like the biohazard. I mean, now that people aren't supposed to be hugging, is that like why the two go together?
yeah, that and on the tattoo itself, when I get it done, I'm going to make it look more like an acid burn, and then instead of like red blood, do like the green blood from the aliens. So,
all right, I can't wait to see it.
well, you know me, I'm into horror, so
yes.
Huge
I
horror
love
fan.
it though.
So anyways, why don't you tell us how people can get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Sure. Most people either they reach out via my website, email, and social media. So website is www.planyourperfectvacation.com. Email Samantha@planyourperfectvacation.com. And same with Facebook and Instagram. My handle is also planyourperfectvacation.com. So pretty simple. If you can remember that long title, you can reach out to me any of those ways. And even if it's just to, some people just want to chat travel and they, don't want to go anywhere, or, they just, I don't know, or want to talk about how I started my business. I'm always willing to talk to, or people that want to make a career change. Obviously, as I mentioned, this is third career for me. So it doesn't have to even be travel related. I'm just always open to a conversation.
Cool. So anyways, my producer always likes to remind me too, my name is Donna Shannon. You can find us personaltouchcareerservices.com, or just Google that thing, man, you'll find me. And as always, if you like what we did here, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a comment if it really, really struck you. If you didn't like it, don't be mean, just keep it to yourself. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next time.